The program actually was therapeutic for me. It's very validating. I watered down my dream because of a lot of the issues that I faced. And I was like, what is the point of working so hard? Because I really bought into the idea of meritocracy. And when reality was not matching, it was really hard to accept for me. I was really scared to start my career because I was pregnant with my first child, early 20s, in the middle of a pandemic. So I was really scared. Am I going to succeed? Because it's new world. And what you said stuck with me, which is using risk as an opportunity. So I was like, you know what, Zainab? Even if I fail, at least it will be an opportunity to learn from. And to tell myself, like, hey, at least I tried, right? Not only did I survive nursing school with my baby in the middle of a pandemic, but I was at the top, one of the top students, right? Even the university interviewed me and they were like, how did you do it? Because I was married and I had a kid and none of my classmates did. But here I am being a top student. I found the taking up space in my last semester. I think that's when you created it. And as soon as I found out, I was like, sign me up. I didn't even know what it was about. I said, if it's Dr. Khalid, sign me up because your advice helped me. So I was like, and I also am a person that invests in myself, whether it's courses, whether it's related to my personal or professional life. I really love to invest in myself. So I signed up. I had no hesitation. I didn't even know about it. So tired and burned out from it. After that, after I passed my boards, I went to travel and then when I came back, I went straight to my job. So I never got a chance to finish Defiance Academy. And
Mhm.
you know what I realized? Not that Allah, but it really set me back. If I know what I know now through the program, I wouldn't be as shocked to face what I would face. And it wouldn't also make me question myself. That's why I said it was very validating for me because I realized these are not things that are in my head. And I love in the program that you don't just share your own experiences, like anecdotal stories. You also shared like research and like how these things are happening. So I was like, it was very valid. It was a therapy session for me, honestly, because I realized, first of all, meritocracy is a myth. It was indeed a myth. No matter how qualified I was, the other thing that I've experienced is that bias and discrimination towards my intersectionality is just a reality, no matter how hard you tried, right? But I didn't have the tools and the skills needed to navigate these spaces. And Defiance Academy gave me those, honestly. Now I'm fired up. I'm actually going tomorrow, I'm going to a career fair. I'm going back to the hospital and I'm pursuing CRNA. So it's not that I didn't want to pursue graduate school. That's why I worked so hard in nursing school to keep high GPA. But because of all the things that I've experienced, I was like, it's too much. I wanted to have my second baby. The stress of ICU job is already hard enough. Add that to the stress that comes with being a minority in medicine. I was like, I cannot have this and try to have my second baby. This is going to be too much. I already did it with my first child. I was pregnant in a pandemic and did a nursing school. After that, I was just like, it's too much. It's going to burn me out. I'm going to step outside and work outside of the hospital in a less stressful environment.
Mhm.
But I realized very quickly, no matter where I went, no matter how I watered down my dream, I was still facing issues related to my intersectionality, the social identities that I have, whether it's a Muslim, a woman, you name it. So I'm like, there's no way around it. Yeah, I have to get equipped with the tools and the skills necessary for me to navigate this. And honestly, I am very grateful that you did this program.
That's affirming to hear for me, because sometimes you feel like you create all of this and nobody really relates to it, and it's like, was I the only person who's going through this? But the fact that you applied it to your own situation and that it actually had an impact is just a blessing to hear.
So I really wanted you to know that you did not waste a minute creating this program. At the time when I invested in this program, I didn't see it as a necessity. I saw it as something that I was doing on top of because I'm thinking if I already get the degree, I'm qualified. I'm going to the hospital to get orientation to do my job. And I told you, I really bought into the idea as long as you work hard, as long as you're the most qualified person, you get the job. And I did get the job. However, staying in the job was almost impossible. It meant losing something that's very important to me, which is I wanted to have my babies in close like closing age. If I were to stay in that hospital, it's the short time that I stayed there, I already have trauma from it, right? If I stayed there more, I think I would have a lot more traumas. And that's another thing. I feel like Defiance Academy, honestly, will save me a lot of money in therapy, because I will know not to take on unnecessary trauma and deal with it. And I love the success method that you talked about in one of the modules. This thing derails the things that you experience in medicine. It derails your focus. You're experiencing so much, either from patients, from your colleagues, and it's a lot on your system, especially if you're not expecting this, right? It's a lot. So, yeah, for any professional Muslim woman, for any person that's a minority, this is a necessity. That's why I said I didn't finish it even when I came back. I had like a week or two before I started my job. I never finished it because I thought this is something that I invested in myself. I'm going to have lifetime access to it. I'm going to do it after I get used to my job. I always planned to get back to it, but because of the trauma and things that I went through, I was like, is it even worth it to continue this path? Because, like, what's the point? You get to a point where you're so traumatized or you were so overwhelmed with things coming at you that you're like, what's the point? My name is Zeinab Mohammed. I am a nurse, and I've been a nurse for about 3 years. My goal is to become certified registered nurse anesthetist. Before Defiance Academy, I was a student when I first learned about Defiance Academy. I took the first life classes, and then I got busy with life, with board exams and finals. I didn't realize at the time that it was a necessity, and it wasn't just a professional development thing that I was doing on the side. So I missed my mark, and that cost me time in advancing my career. I experienced unnecessary trauma. Were I to complete this program, I would have had the skills and the tools to navigate the workplace. The idea of meritocracy, I feel like that was the one that hit me the most. I always believed that if you work hard enough, if you are qualified, you get the job, you keep the job. But that was not my reality. Every day, it felt like, do you belong here? You know, like you see the reactions that people have with you. And I didn't know how to navigate that. I went to school to become a nurse. I didn't know how to deal with that. With Defiance Academy, I now know what to do differently. One of my favorite ones is the unspoken rules. I love that I can now identify what relationships that I have with the people at work and identify my own values and vision too, and saying, okay, Zeinab, what do I want to do in my career? My career is just one piece of my life. What do I want to do with the rest of the pie? And how does my career and the choices that I make here will impact my life? Before Defiance Academy, I was not doing that. I had a vague image, but I did not know how they were interacting. So Defiance Academy, in a sense, helped me integrate both my personal and professional life. And I mentioned this before in one of our live sessions, but surprisingly, this program also helps me navigate my personal life. I made a lot of decisions with my husband that I wouldn't have otherwise done were it not for Defiance Academy. We're the first American Somali generation here. So it's a new system. Our mothers don't know this system. We're the first to experience this and navigate it and hopefully pay it back and give it back to our daughters and sons. But it was a lot of learning and decision making, things that are different from the way we have done things back home, that I wasn't comfortable, but knowing my values and knowing my vision where I'm going, I was okay making those decisions, you know? So it helped me with my personal life too.
How has the decisions that you now are able to make with the help of Defiance Academy, how has that impacted your life and your career?
I'm relieved. Honestly, I'm relieved because I know now that I don't have to abide by social pressures from my community. And I also don't have to abide by the pressures in medicine. I don't have to, either of them. It also gives me clarity. Like I know where I'm going and I don't feel guilty about pursuing and having both. I already have 2 kids, alhamdulillah. And like I said, I am pursuing to become a CRNA. I don't feel guilty about any of it. And the way I navigate and make decisions with my husband are based on my core values. So I'm happy and relieved. The return of investment, the ROI for this program is literally career saving. Do not wait, go for it. Because I went from somebody who was questioning myself, watering down my own dreams because of the reality that I was experiencing at the hospital, to now knowing what my vision is, what my core values are. I had a vague idea of what they were before, but now I got really clear on that. And I know, and now I'm equipped with the skills, whether it's behavior, whether other is mindset, to navigate these systems and make my dream a reality without dealing with any of the unnecessary things. So absolutely, go for it. I would say 100% I recommend it because the ROI is there. And I'm not just saying this because I love you and I trust you, but I'm honestly saying go check it out for yourself. Because, like I said again, meritocracy is a myth. If you're a minority, doesn't matter what profession you're in, there are realities that are hard to accept. And this was extremely hard for me because all throughout college, I used to tell myself anytime that I deal with issues, it's okay, Zeinab, because people that are educated are more open minded. By the time I get my doctoral degree, I wouldn't have to deal with any of this. That is how I cope, not realizing that no matter what stage that I will be in, these biases against you because of your intersectionality will be there. And if you're going into your career not knowing this information and not having the strategy to deal with it or navigate that, then I'm telling you, it's going to cause a lot of unnecessary trauma, waste of time and resources. So don't do any of that. Straightforward. Go to Defiance Academy.
In what time frame did you get results with Defiance Academy?
I went through the program. It took me about 2 to 3 weeks to go through the program, reflect on my own experiences, do the exercises. I have been part of Defiance Academy since the beginning stages, and I was going at this. I'm that type of person that once I start things, I like to finish, and it was very therapeutic. It was worth the time.
Can you tell me a little bit about how a small portion of the content and what impact it had?
My favorite one was time management because I consider myself an organized person. When I went through the time management part, there was a time audit exercise, and I said to myself, Zeinab, you already time block. You already know the things that you do. Maybe you don't have to do this. But then there was a question that followed in the activity, which is said, based on your time audit, what percentage the tasks that you spend time on, where do they fall on your list of priorities? To me, that was a breakthrough because I tend to do a lot, but I've never actually sat down and say, hold on, where do these things fall in my life? And this was so helpful for me, not only in my professional life, but also my personal life. I realized I value quality time with my kids, but I wasn't dedicating a specific time for it. That was happening just because they're at home with me. So now I have 30 minutes every day that I spend with my kids because I'm like, I want undivided attention, uninterrupted time with mom, 30 minutes every day. And then on the weekends, I dedicated 2 to 4 hours, depending on the week, to give that time to them with mom. I wouldn't have known was enough for Defiance Academy. There's so many other things too. Honestly, just I would recommend this to anybody who is struggling or is a minority in their profession to get this, especially if you're a woman, because we tend to take on the social pressures around us. And by nature, we're agreeable. I would honestly say, take it. Take it. That's the only thing I would say. Take it. And also grateful to you for creating this program. I don't know where I would be today. Like I said, I don't have anybody in my family that's in medicine. So all of the things that I've experienced, when you talked about your own experiences, that even though I'm not a doctor, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I needed the same tools and skills. I didn't need to change me or my dreams. I just needed to upgrade my skill level. I really hope I communicated effectively to you how this program helped me. Really, thank you for creating it, because even though like I paid for it and all of these things, it's not enough. If you didn't take the time to process your own trauma and create this program, I think we would all have been stuck. To one person to say the system can change, and that was me. Like I doubted that it could change. Because all along I believed let's just work hard. That's enough.
It is. It is. And you know what? One of the things I realized is when I started speaking up and talking about my experiences, there are a lot of specifically Muslim women who say, oh, you're the exception to the rule, right? You're the exception to the rule. You can't say what you did will work for other people. Alhamdulillah, I took the time to journal and understand my own experiences and look at it through the lens of problem solving, because that's the whole Defiance Academy and the Defiant Career Strategy. I built it from the lens of this is a problem, we need to solve it, right? And that's why it's been kind of my testing thing to say, okay, it worked for me, couldn't it work for other people? And alhamdulillah that it has, because that's the most common objection that I get is it's not going to work for other people because you're the exception to the rule, right?
It goes back to that accountability though. Like I said, I went to Tony Robbins events. I love personal development. And one thing that I've noticed is we love to complain and say and not take on responsibility to fix things. Or
Mhm.
sometimes we have a lot on our plate
Mhm.
that we don't have the time to fix that issue. But if the issue is something that is stopping me from my career, then I think it deserves to be my concern
Absolutely.
and fixing it, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, I didn't know how to navigate that. I didn't know how to get through it. You figure it out. I don't have to figure it out. I just need to get the skills.
And that's
Yeah.
exactly why we created
What do they say? There's a saying,
Don't
don't
Reinvent the Wheel.
there we go. Don't reinvent the wheel.
Yep. That was
Mhm.
exactly the reason. Like, and that's what the reason why I'm doing one of the reasons I'm doing these interviews is to show that it works for people other than myself, right? There are a lot of people that will listen to you and your experience and connect and empathize and say, yes, I'm a nurse too, or I work in healthcare too.
Because the problems that we have is we all suffer in silence. When I figure things out, you don't know how many people I recommended Dr. Khalid. Like really, I was like, oh, you're struggling with this? Go to that. Go to